The sunlight streamed through the curtains, casting a golden hue over the room as I sat on the edge of our bed, folding laundry. The air held a sense of familiarity, but a subtle tension lingered between us, a signal of the storm that loomed on the horizon. Abigail, George's voice, usually warm and comforting, now carried an edge that sent a shiver down my spine. I looked up, meeting his gaze, and noticed a hesitation in his eyes, a flicker of uncertainty that contradicted the sternness of his expression. "What is it, George?" I asked, my hands momentarily frozen, a sock suspended in mid-fold. His words hung in the air, a heavy silence settling between us. "I can't do this anymore," he finally confessed, the weight of each syllable reverberating through the room. "Our marriage, it's not working. I want a divorce." I felt the unraveling knot in my chest tighten, squeezing the breath from my lungs. The room seemed to tilt, and my hands trembled as I clutched the crumpled sock. "A divorce?" I echoed, the words feeling foreign on my tongue. George nodded, his gaze dropping to the floor as if unable to meet my eyes. "I've found someone else, Abigail. Someone who understands me." The words hung in the air, each syllable a dagger piercing through the heart of our union. "But George, we can work through this. We can fix whatever's broken," I pleaded, desperation seeping into my voice. He sighed, a heavy exhale that seemed to carry the weight of our shared history. "Abigail, it's too late. I've made up my mind." As the truth settled like a heavy fog in the room, I felt the first threads of our life together unraveling. The unraveling knot in my chest expanded into a chasm of disbelief and sorrow. The marriage I had believed to be steadfast was now a fragile tapestry torn at the seams, and I found myself standing on the precipice of an uncertain future. Days turned into weeks, and the echoes of neglect reverberated through the hollow spaces of our once vibrant home. The warmth that had defined our shared space now felt replaced by a chill, leaving me grappling with the realization that George's neglect had been an unwelcome guest for far too long. One evening, as I prepared a meal in the dimly lit kitchen, George sauntered in, his eyes fixed on his phone. The usual exchange of pleasantries hung in the air, a mere formality we both seemed to have outgrown. "George, can we talk?" I ventured, the plea in my voice masked by the clatter of pots and pans. He glanced up briefly, a fleeting acknowledgement that held no promise. "Later, Abigail. I'm busy right now." The dismissal stung, a reminder that our connection had become secondary to the demands of his world outside our home. As the weeks passed, our conversations dwindled to a perfunctory exchange of schedules and obligations. One Saturday evening, I mustered the courage to address the growing distance. "George, we need to talk about us. It feels like we're drifting apart." He looked up from his laptop, annoyance flickering in his eyes. "I'm working, Abigail. We'll talk later." Later never came, and the silence between us became a suffocating presence. The home that was once filled with shared dreams now echoed with the solitude of missed connections. I found myself questioning the foundation of our marriage, wondering when the simple acts of love and consideration had slipped through the cracks. In one desperate attempt to bridge the growing chasm, I confronted George after a particularly quiet dinner. "Do you even see me anymore, George?" The words spilled out, tinged with the frustration that had simmered beneath the surface for far too long. He looked at me with a furrowed brow, as if my presence had interrupted a far more important conversation. "Abigail, don't be melodramatic. I'm busy with work. It's not personal." But it was personal. The intimacy we once shared had become a distant memory, replaced by the loneliness of parallel lives. I retreated into the echoes of neglect, a silent acknowledgement that the home we had built together was crumbling, and the repairs required more than just my efforts alone. The tension in our home escalated, reaching a crescendo that shattered the fragile remnants of our connection. The breaking point arrived like an unwelcome guest, and it was in the midst of a seemingly ordinary evening that our unraveling marriage plunged into chaos. "George, we need to talk," I declared, my voice a mix of frustration and desperation. I stood before him, determined to confront the growing abyss between us. He glanced up from his phone, irritation etched on his face. "Can't it wait, Abigail? I have a lot on my plate right now." "No, George, it can't wait any longer. Our marriage is hanging by a thread, and you can't keep avoiding this conversation." The words spilled out, laden with the weight of unspoken grievances. He sighed, a dismissive exhale that fueled the fire within me. "Fine, talk, but make it quick. I have a deadline." The air thickened with the unspoken resentment that had festered for far too long. "I miss us, George. I miss the laughter, the shared dreams, the simple joy of being together. When did we become strangers in our own home?" He looked at me with a mix of impatience and indifference. "Abigail, things change. We can't expect everything to stay the same. But we can't let everything fall apart either. Our marriage deserves more than neglect and indifference," I retorted, my voice rising with each word. George scoffed, a bitter laugh that cut through the air. "Marriage is just a piece of paper, Abigail. It doesn't guarantee happiness. Maybe we were never meant to be." The words hung in the air, a cruel admission that left me stunned. "Is this how little our marriage means to you? After all these years?" I questioned, my voice shaking with a mix of disbelief and sorrow. He waved off my words, dismissing them like an inconsequential annoyance. "I don't need this right now. I have work to do." It was in that moment, as the realization of our irreparable differences settled in, that I knew we had reached the breaking point. The fracture in our marriage had widened into an unbridgeable chasm, and the shards of our shared history lay scattered on the floor, irretrievably shattered. In the aftermath of our explosive confrontation, a period of estrangement engulfed our home. The silence was deafening, punctuated only by the echoes of unspoken words and the distant hum of our fractured connection. Determined to unravel the truth, I delved into the shadows of our marriage, peeling back the layers to reveal a web of deception. Late one night, I found myself hunched over the glow of the laptop screen, scrolling through messages and emails that held the key to George's clandestine life. The evidence painted a painful picture: a woman whose presence had stealthily invaded our shared space, poisoning the roots of our love. "Who is she?" I demanded, my voice trembling with a mix of anger and heartbreak as I confronted George with the damning evidence. He hesitated, a flicker of guilt betraying his stoic facade. "Abigail, it's complicated. I can explain." "Explain?" I scoffed, the bitterness of betrayal staining my words. "How do you explain years of lies and deceit, George? How do you explain the unraveling of our marriage?" He avoided eye contact, his gaze fixed on a point in the distance. "It's not as simple as it seems. She's someone from work, and things just got out of hand." "Out of hand?" I echoed, incredulous. "Our entire life together has crumbled because things got out of hand." George sighed, a gesture that seemed to carry the weight of his guilt. "Abigail, I didn't mean for it to happen. It's just that she understands me in a way you never could." The admission struck me like a blow to the chest. "So this is my fault? You cheated because I couldn't understand you?" He shrugged, a gesture that spoke volumes. "I needed someone who could be there for me, Abigail. Someone who didn't make everything about themselves." The words hung in the air, a cruel reminder that our shared history had become a mere backdrop to his infidelity. The shattered illusions of our love lay scattered, and the woman in the shadows had become the architect of our undoing. Days turned into weeks, and as I pieced together the timeline of George's betrayal, I discovered the depth of his deception. The mistress, possessive and jealous, had manipulated our shared reality to serve her desires. As I confronted George with my findings, a sense of clarity emerged. The estrangement, the cold distance, all orchestrated to conceal the affair that had thrived in the shadows of our crumbling marriage. The weight of betrayal hung heavy in the air as I grappled with the newfound knowledge of George's infidelity. The time for passive suffering had passed. It was now a time for strategic revelation. Armed with irrefutable evidence, I embarked on a mission to expose the truth to those who had been blind to George's deception. One evening, I found myself sitting across from George's parents in the dimly lit living room. The air crackled with tension as I unfolded the evidence before them, revealing the web of lies that had ensnared their son. His mother's eyes widened with disbelief, a gasp escaping her lips. "This can't be true," she whispered, her hands trembling as she clutched the incriminating documents. "It's all true," I affirmed, my voice steady. "George has been leading a double life, and I cannot continue to bear the burden of his deception." His father, a stern figure who had witnessed the crumbling of our marriage, spoke with a heavy sigh. "Abigail, we had no idea. This is unacceptable. It's time for the truth to come to light," I declared, a surge of determination coursing through me. "I won't let his actions define my future." The next strategic move involved a carefully orchestrated gathering with George's extended family, a moment that would lay bare the secrets hidden beneath the facade of our marriage. As we sat in the living room, the tension thickened, and I took a deep breath before breaking the silence. "I've discovered something that I believe you all need to know," I began, my voice measured but resolute. "George has been unfaithful for years, and the unraveling of our marriage is a result of his actions." A murmur of disbelief rippled through the room, and I continued to present the evidence, exposing the affair that had festered in the shadows. The room, once filled with the illusion of a perfect family, now echoed with the shattered pieces of our shared reality. His aunt, unable to contain her shock, exclaimed, "How could he do this to you, Abigail?" We had no idea. As the revelations sunk in, George's cousin looked at me with empathy. "Abigail, you deserve better than this. We support you." The strategic revelation had achieved its purpose. The truth had been unveiled, and the once blinded family members were forced to confront the harsh reality. In the aftermath, a path to healing and justice began to emerge, and the strength of my resolve solidified as I took the first steps toward reclaiming my life. The halls of the courthouse echoed with the weight of impending decisions as I navigated the complex terrain of divorce proceedings. The once shared dreams and promises of forever now lay scattered, each legal document a testament to the irrevocable fracture of our marriage. Amidst the sterile environment of the courtroom, I sat across from George, a mediator acting as the reluctant referee in the dissolution of our shared life. The air was charged with the residue of emotions, resentment, sorrow, and a lingering sense of disbelief. "Abigail, can't we find a way to settle this amicably?" George implored, his eyes betraying a mix of regret and frustration. I met his gaze with a steely resolve. "We had the chance for amicability, George, when our marriage was still intact. Now we're left with the aftermath of your choices." The mediator intervened, a voice of reason attempting to navigate the tumultuous waters. "Let's focus on the division of assets and the terms of the divorce. Emotions aside, we need to establish a fair resolution for both parties." As the legal intricacies unfolded, the division of our life together became a painful process. Shared properties, financial assets, and the remnants of our once shared dreams were dissected with the precision of a surgeon separating conjoined twins. George, facing the reality of tangible losses, sighed deeply. "I never thought it would come to this, Abigail. I never intended to hurt you like this." My response was measured, devoid of the emotional entanglements that had once defined our interactions. "Intentions matter little in the face of actions, George. We're here because of the choices you made." The courtroom became a battlefield where the remnants of our love were scrutinized and categorized. The mediator, sensing the emotional strain, attempted to usher us towards a resolution. "Let's try to find common ground. A quick and fair settlement will benefit both of you in the long run." Yet, common ground remained elusive as the gavel echoed, finalizing the legal termination of our marriage. In that sterile courtroom, a chapter of our lives concluded, leaving us both to navigate the aftermath of a decision that would reverberate through the rest of our days. The divorce papers, signed and stamped, became the tangible proof of an end that was both painful and necessary. The fallout from the divorce proceedings echoed beyond the courtroom, extending into the heart of George's family. The revelation of his infidelity had cast a dark shadow over their perception of their son, and the consequences were swift and severe. Weeks after the legal dissolution of our marriage, I found myself standing before George's parents, the once warm and welcoming atmosphere replaced by a palpable tension. His mother's eyes bore the weight of disappointment, and his father's stern expression hinted at a profound sense of betrayal. "Abigail," his mother began, her voice strained, "we never thought George would do something like this. We are deeply sorry for what you've endured." I nodded, appreciating the sincerity in her words, but the air hung heavy with the unspoken acknowledgement that their son's actions had irrevocably altered the fabric of their family. His father, a man of few words, finally spoke with a stern resolve. "Abigail, we've decided to disown George. His actions have brought shame upon our family, and we cannot condone such behavior." The weight of those words reverberated in the room, and I found myself caught between gratitude for their support and the undeniable gravity of the situation. George, once the center of their world, had become an outcast. "I never thought it would come to this," I admitted, my voice carrying the weight of the shared history we had built together. "But I understand your decision. I appreciate your support during these challenging times." His mother sighed, her eyes reflecting a mixture of sadness and regret. "Abigail, we consider you part of our family, even if George's actions have severed those ties. You're always welcome here." The disownment marked a somber conclusion to the chapter of George's life within the family he had once been an integral part of. As the news spread through their social circles, the whispers of scandal and disappointment became the backdrop to his former life. The disowned husband, once the pride of his family, was now an estranged figure navigating the consequences of his own choices. In the aftermath, I found solace in the unexpected support of his parents, who had chosen to stand by me, offering a semblance of family in a time when everything familiar had crumbled. In the wake of the disownment and the echoes of our shattered marriage, George's parents extended an unexpected offer, an invitation to become part of their family once more. The transition from being the daughter-in-law to being embraced as an adopted daughter was both surreal and heartwarming. As I settled into the familiar surroundings of their home, the air was infused with a sense of healing and acceptance. His mother, once burdened by disappointment, approached me with a genuine smile. "Abigail, we may have lost a son, but we've gained a daughter. You're family to us." The sincerity in her words provided a balm to the wounds left by the tumultuous events that had unfolded. His father, a man of few words, expressed his sentiments through actions rather than words, providing unwavering support during this period of transition. One evening, as we gathered around the dinner table, his mother initiated a conversation that acknowledged the complexities of our newfound relationship. "Abigail, we know this isn't how any of us envisioned things, but we're grateful to have you in our lives. We hope you find comfort and a sense of belonging here." Touched by her words, I replied. "Thank you. Your support means more to me than words can express. It's a new beginning, and I'm grateful for the chance to be a part of your family." As the weeks passed, the dynamics of our interactions evolved. The disownment of George cast a long shadow, but within the walls of his childhood home, I discovered a reservoir of love and understanding. The scars of the past began to heal, and the wounds inflicted by betrayal were replaced with the warmth of a family that had chosen to redefine its boundaries. One day, his mother handed me a box containing old photo albums, a tangible link to the history of their family. "These memories are now yours, Abigail. We want you to feel connected to our past and our shared experiences." I flipped through the pages, glimpsing the moments that had defined their lives. Amidst the faded photographs, I saw George as a child, a teenager, and eventually the man I had married. The images told a story of a family that had weathered various storms, and I found solace in the continuity of their love, despite the disruptions caused by one member's actions. "Your journey is intertwined with ours now," his mother remarked, her eyes reflecting a deep sense of compassion. "Let's build new memories together." The adoption into their family marked not just a resolution to the chaos that had unfolded, but the promise of a new beginning. In the warmth of their love, I discovered that even after the darkest storms, the dawn of a fresh start was possible. The final chapter unfolded with a sense of resilience and renewal, capturing the essence of a phoenix rising from the ashes of a tumultuous past. In the embrace of my newly adopted family, I embarked on a journey of self-discovery, healing, and the rekindling of a life that had been overshadowed by betrayal. The symbolic rising of the phoenix echoed through my daily interactions, each step forward a testament to the strength found within. One day, as I strolled through the family garden with his mother, she remarked, "Abigail, life has a way of surprising us. Sometimes, out of the ruins, we find the strength to rebuild and soar higher than before." I smiled, appreciating the metaphorical significance of the phoenix. I never imagined my life taking this turn, but in the midst of the chaos, I found a new family, a new beginning. His mother nodded, her eyes filled with understanding. "You're not defined by the actions of others, Abigail. You have the power to rise above it and shape your own destiny." As the days turned into weeks, I embraced newfound opportunities, exploring avenues that had long been overshadowed by the strains of a broken marriage. A career I had set aside, personal passions, and connections with old friends took center stage, becoming the pillars upon which I rebuilt my life. During a quiet moment with his father, he shared words of wisdom that resonated deeply. "Life has a way of testing us, Abigail. The true measure of our character lies not in the challenges we face, but in how we navigate through them." "I've learned that resilience is a choice," I replied, reflecting on the transformative journey. "And I choose to rise from the ashes, just like the phoenix." The phoenix rising wasn't just a personal metaphor, it became a collective narrative for the family. In their acceptance and support, I found the strength to overcome the emotional wreckage left by a failed marriage. The bond we forged went beyond bloodlines, a testament to the shared commitment to move forward, heal, and create a future untethered to the mistakes of the past. In the closing scenes of the chapter, as I stood in the family home, surrounded by love and understanding, the narrative shifted from one of loss to one of resilience and redemption. The phoenix had indeed risen, not just for me, but for everyone touched by the aftermath of a broken marriage. The closing lines of the chapter whispered a promise of a brighter tomorrow, where the scars of the past became a testament to the strength found within and the limitless potential of a soul reborn.